How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Geordie geek. Welcome back to the channel for another episode of Spotlight. And as ever, I'm joined by some of my good pals. We've got Luke from Hyper Collectibles. How are you, Luke?
I'm very good, thank you. I have the power.
Oh, very good, very good. GP, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having us back.
You're not going to do what I have the power? Go on.
I have the power.
Oh, that's very good. He beat you there. And, oh, God. And I got a little message last week when I first started talking about this and said, I want to do a spotlight on He-Man. So I said, oh, great. Well, Simon, you can come along, mate. You can come along. And then he immediately responded, what, spotlight? What are we talking about? For fuck. So, anyway, Simon, it is your first time on Spotlight, is it?
It is my first time. Yeah, I'm replacing Keegan because he's off somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Skybin.
You'll be drinking. You'll be in the pub somewhere, I'm sure.
I mean, you're
Simon,
pretty much the same guy.
pretty much the same guy.
Yeah.
About the same level of, everything. So, yeah.
I won't fall off my chair, so.
Yeah. And Simon, you have been entrusted tonight with doing the gaming section. So, you literally are replacing Keegan, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, this is like, consider this like an audition. If your gaming section tops Keegan's, you could get yourself a little role here. We could shift him out, and
We've got a spare James.
Yeah. So no pressure, Simon. No pressure.
He just purely does his PlayStation, where I do Switch and PC.
You do everything. You
are
Xbox
already.
Simon, you're sacked.
I mean,
Xbox.
I do Xbox as well.
Simon, we often say that you are multi-talented, mate. So I'm sure you're going to cover all areas. Simon, we're doing He-Man tonight. You do know what He-Man is, yeah?
I was a big He-Man fan as a kid.
Okay. As a kid?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Good.
I had, but I did sell. I do regret. I sold them at a car boot. I had Castle Grayskull and Battle Cat and everything. So.
And everything. Good stuff.
Yeah.
See, Luke, not an approval at Battle Cat.
Yeah.
I probably bought it.
Yeah.
You probably did.
Did buy it.
And mine.
Right, chaps. Let's jump into the chat before we get started. See who we've got. We have got Fuzzy Thunder, Thundercat. Wrong show, Fuzzy. Wrong show. Nice try, but nice try. We have got Passpoint Comics. Let's go. Convince me that Master of the Universe is worth me collecting. Well, I mean, I think it's certainly worth watching, everyone. Certainly worth watching. We've got Sean. Nice to see you, Sean. I hope you are well. We've got Deadman. Good evening. I know nothing about the subject, so teach me. Simon has got it in hand. Don't worry. All you need to know about He-Man will be coming from Simon's little mouth. We've got Andy from Perpetual Comics. My favourite YouTubers and Peter. Oh, that's harsh.
Which Peter?
That's harsh. Well, yeah, which Peter? Yeah, I'm going to take. You meant you, GP. You meant you.
I'll take that as well.
Yeah. Simon, you've never been big anything. Stop laughing. Okay, chaps. So we are here tonight to talk all things Masters of the Universe. And I've got some experts on screen and Simon. So we're going to cover a whole host of interesting stuff tonight. As ever, we'll start off with a little bit of background on the Masters of the Universe. But I'm not going to go into masses of detail because what I would say to you is there are some fantastic documentaries and series out there detailing Masters of the Universe history and lore. I'd point in the direction of Andy saying who peanuts. I'd point in the direction of The Toys That Made Us. They did a really good episode on He-Man, and there's a very cool documentary called Power of Grayskull, I believe. You guys seen that?
Yep.
I have not.
Very good. Goes through all the history and everything and all that.
I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Is it Netflix or Amazon? I can't remember, but it's one of those, and it's well worth a watch. GP, you'll love it if you like.
Yeah, I'll give that a
the history of it. He-Man obviously debuted in around about 1982. It was developed in 81, but came out in 82. And it started really as a toy line for them to shift figures. So we'll get the figures at first. Each of the figures coming with a little mini comic, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. And the mini comics kind of set the initial lore of Masters of the Universe, gave you some of the character backgrounds and things like that. It's worth saying, and like I say, we'll touch on it later on, and the guys I'm sure will chip in, that those original mini comics sometimes bear little resemblance to what we actually got in the Filmation cartoons. So you've kind of got alternate origins and things for some of the characters going side by side, so it can get a little bit confusing. The original pitch was really to try and blend sci-fi, barbarians, and all the popular lines of the time. So at the time, Conan was very big, and as was Star Wars. So they thought they would develop this line that kind of smoshed everything together and hopefully kind of hit everybody's little minds. So, with that said, I want to kind of come to you guys and ask, what's your first memories of Masters of the Universe? When did you become aware of it? And why did you kind of like it to start with, if indeed you did like it? We'll start with you, Luke.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know if it was my first memory, but it's certainly an early memory of being around 4 or 5 years old and being gifted a He-Man and Battle Cat, inbox. We actually discussed it on a previous show that you and I did, where we were trying to work out the dates, because obviously the toy line was coming to an end near that time, and yet this was one of the older toys, as it were. Like, it had been out for a few years already. So how my parents came across it, how they acquired it, I have no idea, but it's one of my earliest memories, and I still have it to this day.
Yeah. So your introduction was the action figures.
It was the action figures, yeah. Toys first, TV show shortly
That's
afterwards.
exactly the same for me. And I mean, the action figures did come out before the cartoon, but you probably hit it later than I did. I was around when it first hit the shelves in terms of the action figures.
Again, not to say that you're old, Peter, you're not. But I was born in 85, and the toy line pretty much fell out of favour with people in 86. So the fact that I'm saying I was like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years old, that's some years afterwards. This was all when it was running on syndication, and we were just getting repeats and reruns of the show.
Yeah. Fuzzy's having a pop, Luke. Fuzzy's having a pop. I've got the same T-shirt on as well, I think. Andy, Christ, I'm older than Luke. You don't look it, mate. You don't look it. So I'm much the same as you, Luke. I was around when that first wave of toys hit the shelf. And it was a funny first wave. We'll probably touch on this later on, but when you think of the first few figures released, I often forget about Zodiac being... Is it Zodak or Zodak? Zodak being one of those first figures, because he's never really... I don't remember him being a big player in the Masters of the Universe initially, But I remember going to London to see my auntie and uncle, and going to a toy store, and all I had on the shelf was the bird guy, Stratos, and picking up him. And it was absolutely, I fell in love with it. And then the cartoon came later on. GP, how about yourself?
Yeah, for me, obviously, I was born early 80s, so I grew up with He-Man. Obviously, the cartoon first, and then the toys came.
Okay,
I had Castle Grayskull and all that. And we used to find them on the car boot sales, see a He-Man figure. Yeah. You could recognise it was a He-Man figure straight away, so obviously used to grab that. But yeah, I've got none of my stuff left. My dad gladly took it all to the tip.
Yeah, but
when I went back for it, he's like, "No, it's gone."
You did back then, but didn't you? I mean, not many people. I mean, Luke might be the exception, but not many people had the collector kind of mentality. But you bought toys. I know my mum and dad had a furniture shop, so basically, Christmas you get toys ready for the next Christmas, and there was a new fad. I would sell the toys. I would have an action figure sale. Luke would have been in his element, because all the previous year's toys went in my mum and dad's furniture shop.
Exactly, yeah. It's, my mum and dad used to do the clear out for Christmas, and then you get new.
You mentioned Castle Grayskull there. Sorry, Simon, what are you saying, bud?
Sunday car boot sales.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. But you mentioned Castle Grayskull there, and I think that's one of my fondest memories of He-Man, was just how... I think that's probably the first biggest play set that I had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it was quite a size. It was imposing, That, and then Boulder Hill from Mask I got, which was just freaking amazing. Yeah. How about you, Simon? When did you first become kind of aware of Masters?
So, I mean, show first, then figures. Like I did with a lot of things, like I was born in 87, so I was a bit like Luke, but it came after for me. I was watching the cartoons maybe like 4 or 5, and I'd get figures. Like I was into like all sorts, Dino Riders, Transformers, He-Man. All those were the ones I collected and wanted. So I remember, and I still want to get it to this day. I still remember the G1 on the Transformers. Optimus Prime Generation 1. Yeah. But I had He-Man. I've got that. I know. I want to get it. it's just a memory of mine. That's one of the first toys,
Yeah.
and then I had the Dino Riders. Lego as well was a big thing for me as a kid.
Yeah.
But I did get Castle Grayskull, which was amazing, and then He-Man and Battle Cat. But like you guys, eventually, I think that He-Man was like drifted out for me.
Yeah.
So then, I sold all of them at a car boot
Yeah.
to get whatever new figure I wanted, or so.
Yeah, good stuff. Just going to quickly jump to the chat, guys. Fuzzy is saying he's first wave club. Good man, Fuzzy. Good man. Dead man. I was busy getting married. That's probably why I missed it. Andy, if you were a he-man, which he-man would you be? You're a he person. Calm down. I'll be snout spout. Yeah, I thought you would be. Yeah, I'd probably be beast man, I think. Yeah, beast man, I think. What about you, Luke? Battle Cat. What about you, Luke? Which he-man character would you be?
Skeletor.
I could see me being like one of the henchmen, probably something random, Whiplash or
Evil
something.
Evil Lyn.
I could pull off Evil Lyn.
Yeah,
I
I
reckon
bet
you
you
could,
have.
though.
She could probably pull it. No.
Oh, hey, oh.
GP, which one would you be?
Oh, God. Man at Arms. I'd go
Man at Arms.
Yeah, I always like Man at Arms.
Yeah, you'd have to get rid of the beard and just go for the tash.
Just go for that.
Simon?
Orko, because he's annoying.
Changing Simon's name.
Yeah. My He-Man collection got lost in the Great House Move of '92. Fuzzy would be Fisto, so I can
Oh,
finally
oh,
wear
he
my one really big glove. Andy, I say a house move, the council evicted us. Oh, bless you. My nana flew from Leeds to Germany holding a birthday cake and a Castle Grayskull for my birthday. Wow.
Super grand.
That's dedication for you.
Definitely.
Simon, why is he talking about Optimus Prime and Lego? Fuzzy, it's so early in the show, I just let it pass. I let him talk on, bless him. Luke would make a great tongue lasher. I just got that figure last week. It's very cool. Very cool. Okay, guys. So I think one of the endearing things about good old He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is the amount of incredible characters that it brings out. And you've got all kinds of different variations of, sci-fi barbarians, as we talked about at the start, wizards and warlocks and monsters and beasts. We've got some amazing heroes, and we've got some even better at you. And I'll start off so we can have a bit of a think time. I want to know who your favourite hero is and who your favourite villain is. All right? So I'm going to start off, and I think, I've talked about him recently on a show, but I'm a big fan of Roboto. I think he's a tremendous character. I love the storyline behind him. In terms of being an action figure, I love the fact that you get all of the kind of snap-on bits with him. It was a cool toy because you can see through him into his chest. And I just think he's got a brilliant storyline. Not necessarily in the first series, but certainly in the sequels. In terms of villain, Trapjaw. Every day. Trapjaw's just a superb character. I love the design of him. Again, as a toy, some stunning accessories and add-ons and all that kind of jazz. Luke, how about yourself?
Yeah, well, as many of you already know, I'm going to say Battle Cat. Always been my favourite character, just hands down, especially when it comes to the heroes. When it comes to the villains, Merman. I think it's such a cool look, especially the various toys that we've had throughout the series. I like the aesthetic. I like the way he looks.
Yeah, very cool.
Do you know what,
How about you,
Pete?
GP?
You've missed a trick tonight. You should have had a Battle Cat count.
Yeah, we should.
I think we're up to about 5 now.
Only 2 of them have been mine.
Efren. Efren's jumping in, guys, and I have to show you this. Is there a she-woman and the Masters of the Universe?
Yeah.
Dad.
Efren, there's a She-Ra, Efren. We're gonna get to her. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get to her later on, Efren. There's definitely a She-Ra, and Fuzzy's pointing out that Andy is most definitely Ram-Man. Right. Sorry, GP. What about yourself?
Yeah, obviously for the heroes, I'd have to go with He-Man.
He-Man. Okay.
Yeah. I always liked the He-Man character. Not Prince Adam.
Yeah.
Just the He-Man character.
I don't know why, but I know he's the star of the show, but I always kind of found him one of the least interesting of the characters, to be honest. I mean, don't get us wrong. I'll still think he's a great character.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was intrigued by everybody else. But yeah, I can see why you would go for He-Man. How about bad guys?
Beastman. Yeah.
You like a big ginger man.
I do.
Yeah.
Newcastle Comic Con, Pete.
Good. So now, Simon, this is going to be fun. Give us some names, Simon.
My hero is going to be Stratos.
Yeah. Okay.
Just purely because I like the wings, and it reminds me of like Hawkeye, not Hawkeye, Falcon and things like that. You know, flying.
Yeah.
And bad guys, Hordak.
Hordak. Yeah, very cool character.
not on
Really,
there, but-
really like Hordak.
Yeah.
Some good picks there, chaps. Some good picks. Right, just going to quickly jump to the chat. Fuzzy is saying Fisto, Mossman, and Ram Man, all top blokes. Yeah, I like Mossman in particular. Mossman is very, very cool. Fuzzy, it always bothered me as a kid that Leech, my favourite figure, had a crossbow yet had no fingers. Traumatic. Yeah. Yeah,
It was
it's a good-
the Horde
it's a good
army all
point.
came with crossbows, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like clip on, weren't they? Didn't they clip onto the
They
wrist?
clipped onto the wrist, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the Mondo 1/6 scale Hordak, and he comes with the crossbow, so you
Beautiful
can
figure.
clip it on. It's really cool, very cool. And he's getting emotional. He's tearing up. It's the haircut with He-Man, bit suspect. Yeah, it's a bit dodgy.
So,
You guys should cosplay at He-Man as your next con. I ain't got the body for it, mate. I ain't got the body. I could do She-Ra, I suppose. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about media and about some of the various shows and things that are attributed to He-Man. We'll start off with the first, which is obviously the original show from Filmation. Ran for around about 130 episodes, I think, over 2 seasons. Now, I have to be honest, I remember very little of the show. I did watch it. I loved it. I was obviously obsessed with it as a kid. But it's not a show I've gone back and rewatched, I have to say. It's not a one that I would check out.
yeah.
What about you guys?
It's like when you think back on all, you can't just pick out an episode of it.
Mm.
Because it's very much the same week on week. It's
Yeah.
like Skeletor's doing something, He-Man stops him.
I do remember the emotional little messages at the end of each episode. Where
Yeah.
it was kind of, don't kick dogs, or, kiss your granny or
Don't kick
something
dogs.
like that. You know,
Bite you.
that kind of stuff. Luke, what about you? Do you remember much of the cartoon?
Yeah, so I have gone back to rewatch it, but mostly because my son wants to watch it, and he's 5, so he's like the perfect audience for
Yeah.
it, and
Right.
he absolutely loves it, which means in my eyes it must still hold up for children.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold up for me. I sit there and watch it with him, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is dated. This isn't as good as I remember. But the fact that he loves it means that I love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as he gets a little bit older, he's been watching the other shows as well. So he's watched the Kevin Smith show with me. He's watched the CGI one as well. But now he's gone back to watch these old ones, and to him, it's just all He-Man. He doesn't care. He doesn't care which version of the show it is. He just wants to see He-Man do the fighting and do the good stuff. So
Did
Yeah.
he do much fighting? I'm trying
it
to
was
remember.
so I've noticed that it's a lot of lifting boulders and throwing people.
Yeah.
It's less about, like, he never uses that sword other than
No.
to transform.
Yeah.
But it's and do you know what else surprises you as well? Well, it might not surprise you, is how much the animation is reused.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot
Yeah,
with
well-
shows during the 90s and stuff like that as well. And this is obviously
Happened
the
a lot with the
80s.
Turtles. That.
Yeah.
Memes as well.
Yeah. So you suddenly see he'll go to punch, but instead he's thrown a boulder, and it doesn't mesh. But a kid doesn't notice. A kid doesn't care.
It's called
It's
the
funny
Boulder
about
Punch.
the reused stuff, because I recently watched Spider-Man 1977, and then watched a couple of the episodes of the TV show, and it's literally, because the special effects cost so much, they reused the same scene just repeatedly from slightly different angles, And I guess this is the same. Animation cells and things like that weren't cheap, and they took a long time to produce, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that they would just reuse them, I guess. Simon, what about yourself? Did you have much viewing of this original cartoon?
Yes, but I can't remember it. So I did go back last night on Amazon. You can watch it, I think, and watch a couple episodes. So I watched a couple episodes just to sort of try and rejig my memory. And like there's one where he lost his sword in the cave and with Cringer, and they're running from something, and it's quite funny the way he runs off like this in the background. He's like, and just
Yeah.
it's like playing like a 2D flat game, isn't it? And you just see him running
Yeah.
across somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was funny animation, but it's pretty cool.
And did you learn something? Because I would imagine, Simon, it's probably about your age level, the cartoon. Did you the little message at the end? Did it impact on you? Did you have you stopped kicking dogs? Have you?
Got stuck. I've got a cat, so
All right, that's all right. Kick away.
I was going to say, what, you kicked the
Only a
cat?
cat.
Yeah.
It's only a cat.
Fuzzy's just saying he watched 3 episodes this weekend. Pure mince. It didn't age well for me. Yeah, I think I'm probably the same, Fuzzy. I've watched a few bits and bobs on YouTube, but I think Luke's point is right. This is, we're not the age anymore for this. I'm sure your younger kids will thoroughly enjoy it.
I think we would feel the same regardless of the show. Like I've watched Turtles with my son, and that was very much the same. And I've also watched Thundercats, and again, it's all of a similar age. It's all from around a similar time, and it is, we're just not the demographic anymore.
Yeah. It lives on in nostalgia, and as I often say about some of the nostalgia things, sometimes it's best not to go back and revisit them, because you suddenly find yourself thinking, God.
I don't know. Like maybe when my son was young, I got him Thundercats on DVD, Transformers. And I sat and watched Thundercats, and I think that's still held up.
See, Transformers the movie is an all-time classic.
Oh yeah,
Thundercats,
definitely.
I can watch.
I
that
would be
again and
really
again.
interested. In fact, I'll probably do it for my show. I want to go back and watch Thundercats Who, which was the kind of the
Yeah.
feature-length movie.
Yeah.
Because I've got great memories of that, introducing the other island of Thundercats and all that kind of stuff.
There's other shows that did that as well, like Dungeons and Dragons. I've got on DVD, and I
Yeah.
can rewatch that. And like I did rewatch Transformers, and they do. Some of them do still
Yeah.
stand up. So
Fuzzy's just saying he watched A-Team, lasted 8 minutes. It's funny you're saying that, Fuzzy. I haven't watched A-Team for a long time, but I went back and watched about a quarter of an episode of Knight Rider not so long ago. Boring as hell. Just nothing in it. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind
was
going
just-
back watching Airwolf.
Yeah, but I think again, Airwolf probably reuses so much. There's a lot happens on the ground, and then you say
Yeah.
it can. But the theme tune, that was my ringtone for years.
Oh, that was amazing.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then we got this. We got She-Ra from 85 to 87. This lasted 93 episodes. Obviously, Princess Adora. I remember practically nothing about this cartoon, but I did have, I think, a couple of the figures. I haven't
She-Ra?
got. Yeah, well, yeah, I haven't got a vintage She-Ra. I've got a Mondo She-Ra, but I haven't got a vintage one. So I need to get her, even though it's a horrendous figure. But I remember practically nothing about this show. What about you guys? Simon, is this even something you're aware of?
I can't remember. She had a flying horse. I know that. So like a Pegasus horse.
Yeah.
Swiftwind.
Swiftwind,
I
yeah,
might
coming out
watch-
as a
I'm-
large toy.
I
soon.
might watch a couple. I don't know, but I don't know if you come into it. But I have watched the new Netflix one of She-Ra.
Well, we're going to get to that in a bit. Hi, Jack. Nice to see you. We're going to get to that in a little bit, mate. But yeah, obviously She-Ra was actually introduced in a Christmas special, wasn't she? Was it The Secret of the Sword? I think it was called, or something like that. What about you, Luke? Are you a She-Ra fan?
So for me, when She-Ra first came about, I was like, oh, that's the girl version. But He-Man actually made a lot of appearances in the She-Ra show, and it did almost become like a spin-off series for He-Man.
Yeah.
And as the time went on, I grew myself to, I started to care more about these other characters, including She-Ra and the other princesses. So yeah, it wasn't half bad. Also, I had a younger sister, 2 years younger than me, so
right.
it made sense for me to find some enjoyment in something that she was watching, or else my life would be miserable.
Yeah. Yes. How about you, GP?
No.
No.
No. I remember it being around, but no, I never watched it.
No, I remember nothing of it, I have to say. Jack is saying, why do people, excuse me, hate on the new Kevin Smith one? We're going to talk about that in a bit, Jack. But spoilers, I absolutely don't. I love the Kevin Smith universe, and I know
think it's great.
I know a lot of people do, so we'll talk about that in a bit. Fuzzy, I never watched a single episode of this. I went from He-Man to chasing birds and booze, I think. Good stuff, was he? 18 bored me to tears. No one ever got hurt or killed. I think Face had a broken arm once. Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever went back and watched The Incredible Hulk?
Not
Yeah.
for a long time.
I've watched a couple episodes. It's so fucking
Is
good.
it bad? Is it
Oh
bad?
yeah, it's so bad it's good.
True story, just about the A-Team. I've told you this one to death, like, but true story about the A-Team. I got rather drunk in Blackpool with Dwight Schultz, the guy who plays Murdoch in the A-Team, at a Star Trek convention a long time ago. I couldn't afford the figures, so I had to get the bootleg ones from the Barrows Market in Glasgow. 10 pairs of socks and a lighter for a £5. Good stuff, Andy. Right then. Then we get this. We get the live action movie. Came out 1987 by Canon Films. It was a commercial and critical disaster. Didn't do very well at all. It had a $22 million budget and it managed to gross around about 17 million. So it was deemed a big wet fart. As a kid who loved He-Man at the time and was hyper for this movie, I remember at the time being disappointed with it because I felt it didn't represent the characters as I had them in my mind. That said, going back and rewatching it, it's not a bad flick. The guy who plays Skeletor is superb.
Yeah,
Evil
Frank
Lynn.
Nagalia.
He's
amazing.
He's superb. Evil Lynn, I have to say, I had many unsavoury thoughts about Evil Lynn. Wow. We'll get Courtney Cox in there. You got some big actors. Dolph is Dolph. I mean, the guy kind of act out of a paper bag.
I'll let you all
looks
in on
the
a
part.
secret. This is a guilty pleasure for me. I watch this at least once a year.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Really,
good.
honestly, yeah. The costumes in this film, especially the Beastman one, is absolutely
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah. And do you know what? I was probably upset at the time, but now looking back, I like the characters that are introduced. I like the Blade guy. I forget the lizard one. What's he called?
So that
Can't
Blade guy was actually a vintage action figure.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
he was the only one out of that from that movie. I believe he was the only one to have an action figure in the original toy line.
Oh, I didn't know that. You see, educated. So, what did you guys think of this movie? Simon, I'm going to start with you. Have you seen this film?
I have. I've watched it many times. It's actually one of my favourite movies. I think it's like the same sort of time as Labyrinth and things. And is it Grindor? Is it the little elf guy?
Gildo.
Yeah.
Gildo.
When he just playing the song on the weird key thing.
Yeah.
Doodly-doo,
Cosmic
and
key.
it's Cosmic Key. And yeah, it just had, because obviously I wasn't that attached to the cartoon and the lore. So I suppose this is the problem. If people are attached to lore and then when they go off, that's why I enjoyed the film as a kid. So I think it depends, because those attached to lore and things, and then they go off, everyone whinges about it. But
Yeah.
so,
GP, what about you?
Yeah, like I said, it's a guilty pleasure for me. I watch it at least once a year. I can see people getting mad at it because it's not like as the cartoon. You want that space fantasy epic.
Yeah.
But I love it. And like you said, Frank Lagaria, I think his name is, who plays Skeletor. He did an amazing thing. I watched one of the documentaries, and he says that they pull away from him a little bit because of the prosthetics on his face. He couldn't emote that much. I think it gets to like the final act where you get more of a close up on his face and he's emoting more, and it looks amazing.
I think the Skeletor design and the face makeup and everything is absolutely spot on, to be honest. I think, it's a great rendition of a lot of the characters. I'm not sure why it
that
gets
bit
such
where
negativity.
Beastman is chasing Courtney Cox's character through the gym. The 5-year-old me absolutely shit his pants at that.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Well, it's a pretty
It was
horrific
scary.
version of Beastman, isn't it? It's
really
more
is.
werewolf than it's very cool. Luke, you a fan of this movie?
Oh, am I a fan? That's a loaded question. I could talk about this movie for hours, whether good or bad. I have a lot to say on this movie, but nothing that I'll give away too much here. Like you guys have already said, this is a Skeletor film. He absolutely steals the show. He-Man is a
absolutely.
complete side character in his own movie, really. I one of my biggest concerns. I've recently watched it, and the one thing that I notice now as an adult is the lack of extras
Right.
on Earth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they are
Yeah.
running around that city firing lasers and all sorts, and there is not a single pedestrian anywhere. The streets are empty. So that really took me out of it. But like you guys have already mentioned, like the prosthetic makeup, the characters they've introduced, it's all good. It's all good enough for when it was made. But yeah, I'll save my opinions for maybe a future show, Peter.
Okay, doke.
I will say one more thing about this because there was a sequel planned.
Yeah.
And that sequel got turned into Cyborg, the Jean-Claude
Yeah,
Van
yeah.
Damme film.
Yeah.
I think it was an amazing bit of little trivia for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was reading that the other day, Peter. Actually, yeah, it's a great little point. Well, is this one of the first movies to have kind of like an after credit thing? Then? Because obviously we get that scene with Skeletor, don't we? Which I don't know how often that happened back then. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it really ever did.
I can't remember many of when I'm thinking of kind of like, you know, the movies of that generation of my youth, Ghostbusters and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember any of them having post credit scenes really.
No.
Yeah. Interesting. So as Luke's kind of alluded to there, I have asked Luke if he fancies doing it. I forgot what my show's called.
I
can view this
all
all
day.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can view this all
yeah.
day. On Masters of the Universe. So that would be interesting. Let's have a look. Fuzzy's saying Frank is fantastic, absolutely, but he's amazing in it. Pat Bear, I used to think that there was no way that She-Ra could actually fight in that miniskirt dress. Never really thought about the fact that He-Man fights everyone in furry pants. Yeah, the furry pants chafe, I would imagine. Jack, love this movie. My first looking on Masters. Yeah, I think for a lot of people it was because it had gone quiet for a little while. I think there was a lot of build-up for this. So I think a lot of people really, really looked forward to seeing this movie. It didn't reignite the franchise as they'd hoped. They'd hoped that this would sell a lot of toys and get people back into Masters.
Basically finished canon films, though, didn't it?
It did. It did it in. Yeah, it absolutely did. I always recall watching it at Christmas. Yeah, one of those classic Christmas movies. But like this and Indiana Jones for me.
Yeah.
This sounds like Luke Cudfer. I hate this film. Love this. Remember getting the video from my local shop. Yeah. Oh, Efren, extra scene, no spoilers, guys. Efren's not. You're not seeing Masters of the Universe, Efren.
Efren, I'm disappointed, like.
Yeah, Efren will have to get you into Masters. Anyway, speaking of dog shit, after that we'll get this. We'll get New Adventures, which came out in 1991. This did away with the kind of the whole barbarian look, and they went, because sci-fi was getting a bit more popular at the time, they went really full in sci-fi on this. I don't think, other than He-Man and Skeletor, I don't think there's any of the original kind of Rogues Gallery really appear in this. It's all new characters. And, I mean, I have to be fair to it. I haven't gone back and watched it. I remember watching a couple of episodes and just this didn't do anything for me. It didn't float me boat at all, really. It ran for 65 episodes, which isn't a bad run, really, for a show.
No.
But no, not for me. Any of you guys remember this or watch this?
I remember an advertisement for it, and I
I
thought,
don't think I've watched this. No.
Luke, have you seen this one?
Yeah, so I saw it. I didn't enjoy it. Didn't like it. I stopped watching it very early on. But one thing that was nice about this was the toys that we got, and it's not necessarily for the action figures. I couldn't really care less about those. It was the spaceships. So I had a lot of the spaceships, including one that had like the mirror telescope thing, so you could see like up and above things, and it all kind of folded out from the spaceship. It was a cool toy. So yeah, we got some. Yeah, we got some cool toys out of it.
There's not a Battle Cat in this, is there? There's not a version of Battle Cat in this that I remember.
No,
that's why
but that's not the reason why I don't like it.
Yeah. I think we're starting to understand, Luke. We'll see. Let us know in the comments if any of you guys watched this, because I don't. This just makes no impact on my memory of He-Man at all, to be honest. Maybe I was aged out at the time, I don't know. But it's certainly not something, I'm keen on. And we'll move on to this. This is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. A couple of seasons of this. Gets renamed later on to the Snake versus the Snake Man or something like that, I think it's called. Ran from 2002 to 2004. 39 episodes, so not a big, long series this. We'll talk later on about the action figures because it gave us some phenomenal figures. This for me, I struggle to know which I prefer, this or the new Masterverse. This for me really fleshed out a lot of the characters, gave us some phenomenal backstory and episodes. I love this. This is one of my favourite series, I think.
Such a great intro as well.
Yeah, I think if I was to pick a favourite Master series, this is probably still it. Okay, what about you guys? We'll go to GP first. You familiar with this one, GP?
I am. I actually watched the first episode, and I meant to watch the rest of it, but back then it was just going out partying every weekend, so it didn't happen. But no, I do remember the first episode and was impressed with the animation, so I might actually go back and watch this one.
My only upside, and again it's a nerd thing, is I'd prefer him to have the proper sword. But I understand the mythology in the series and why it did it and all the rest of it. Simon, are you familiar with this one?
I am, but yeah, I think it was the first time it had sort of a He-Man in a better animation style. So I do remember watching it, but I'd have to, like GP, go back. It's one of those things you just need to go back on and really watch. So.
This is the one that I could imagine Simon liking the most.
Yeah, it's quite anime,
honesty,
isn't it?
Like, it's very, very up his street, very up his. I loved this one. Like, for me, this is like the definitive He-Man. Like, before the new Kevin Smith one, which I would now lean more towards. This was, for me, the best that we ever had. But I do have a problem with it, and much like you, Peter, in regards to the sword, my problem is linked to Battle Cat, and it's because he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
That's my only problem. The toys of him and everything else. We got loads of different variants of all these action figures with this line. This toy line was massive, and I know we'll touch on it a bit later. But Battle Cat as a character, even as Cringer or anything else, didn't speak. And for me, that's the only negative. That's the only downside, because I love everything else.
Positive.
Orko is amazing in this. Orko was really fleshed out. Like, I fell in love with Orko because of this series.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of liked him when I was a kid watching the original, but he was fantastic in this.
Have you read the finale, Luke? Because they did 39 episodes, but then the 40th episode, which was supposed to round off the series, was published as a comic book.
No, never read it.
Yeah, so I read something, I can't remember it, but if you, I know you're into your physical media, I think one of the DVD sets or something like that, you get a copy of the comic book in it.
Okay.
I'd have to have a look into it, but it's what I was saying when I was looking into the series. Final episode. So yeah, I'd like to get my hands on that and have a bit of a read of it, see what it's all about. Yeah, I love the character design, I love the fleshing out. We then get this is She-Ra and the Princess of Power from 2018 to 2020. This got 52 episodes. This, I think, is a new generation's introduction to a lot of these characters. I know my pal's daughter, Lottie, fell in love with this version of She-Ra, and then that introduced She-Ra to her mum, Sarah, and Sarah's obsessed with this character now as well because of that, and she's gone on and read back and everything. So this was an incredibly popular series, I think. I didn't watch it myself. I've seen clips of it, and it looked very, very well done in terms of animation. The Hordak stuff looked really interesting. I think they had him as like a goth kind of teen at one point or something. But yeah, looked very, very cool, and certainly, I think, reignited interest in the kind of the wider universe. Any of you guys watched any of this?
Yep.
No.
Simon?
Yeah, I've watched it all. I really enjoyed it. It is one to fun to watch. What drew me to this though, I was watching Voltron, which is a sort of same style of animation. I felt like it was, so that's what drew me to it. And obviously, it came out before this new Kevin Smith one, and it's in a completely different style. But you do get used to the characters. It's not too airy fairy. It is quite action packed and quite fun, and so it is really good. So
Okay.
So just call her a hairy fairy.
Luke, you seen it?
Yes, so both my wife and daughter absolutely loved this show, and so I started watching it alongside them. I enjoyed it, but I will, people have to know going into it. This is very much an inclusion piece. There is a lot of references in this show to like the whole gender and sexuality, and I'm trying I'm trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
put
I
the word
know what you
carefully
mean.
because I don't know.
It's a Gen
I never
Z
know what
show.
I never know what the correct terms are,
Yeah.
and I don't want to get myself cancelled before I've even started. To me, it's not a problem, but you do need to know that going in because these are not the same characters that you watched in your other
Yeah, yeah.
She-Ra show or in your other He-Man, even though there were hints of that along the way. So there are differences, and there's, like I say, it's all very inclusive of that sort of thing. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother that my child was watching it either. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like I wanted to shield them from it or anything like that. It's a very enjoyable show, and we still watch it regularly on Netflix. So just so you guys know, if you are going to give it a chance, know what you're getting into, because it's not the same show that you remember the previous stuff being.
Fuzzy's got your back, Luke. Fuzzy's got your back.
We can't do worse than what Simon said.
Yeah. It's a show of the times, shall we say.
I must
yeah.
say though, my favorite character in this was Shadow Weaver, which they really developed it's in a different way to the one that we got from
Yeah.
the original She-Ra show, but that character was fantastic, and the voice acting as well is superb.
I know, like I say, a lot of people said it was a fantastic little series. Dead Man, just Google this to answer your question. The Silencers post-credit scenes. Now, in contemporary filmmaking, was the first introduced in The Silencers. I don't think I've ever seen The Silencers.
Yeah.
Comedic spy Jim directed. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Cleverly spoofed the clue. Of course, James Bond films used to always do.
Is that the one for Peter
Will
Sellers?
Return. No, I don't
No, he
think
did
that's The
Casino
Silencers.
Royale, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Casino Royale. I remember
You know,
that.
I know, slightly off topic, but I didn't realize there was an after credit scene to the Keanu Reeves Constantine film until like very recently. Like, I just
there?
let the credits play, and all of a sudden there was an end credit scene at the end of
I
that,
didn't know that.
and I had no idea it was there.
I can't remember.
I can't
You'll have to
remember
tell
that
what
one.
it is after this. Yeah. Okay, moving on, guys. We then get some of the Kevin Smith universe. We get Revolution. I love them. I know there's, and I don't want to get into the whole kind of debate about Kevin Smith ruined my childhood and all that kind of stuff and all the rest of it. For me, this was a great cartoon. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the art style. I have to say, out of the two series, I preferred the more recent one, Revolution. I thought that was superb, absolutely superb. Some great character development, some great styling, superb voice cast. William Shatner, you get us with William Shatner every time. Do you know what I mean?
The shot.
Yeah, you can't beat the shot. So absolutely loved it. You guys a fan of those series?
I've only watched the first season. I've still got the second one to watch, but absolutely loved the first season.
Get it watched.
I
Second
thought it
one's-
was great that they actually made Taylor the centre.
Well, my big thing at the time, and I know Luke's got thoughts on this as well, was that the show is Masters of the Universe. It's
Yeah,
not
it's not
just
called
about,
He-Man.
It's not just about the big blonde guy. It's
Yeah.
so, and I know people felt that Kevin Smith lied to them and all that kind of stuff, but actually, that's what trailers do. I wouldn't get too
Yeah.
excited about that. Simon, what did you think? You a fan of this run?
Yeah, I'd watch it again. Like, I thought it was great because, like, obviously, like I said, it all depends if you were hooked on the lore or anything. A bit like the old movie and things like that. I wasn't. So going into this new, when you create something new, they have to do a storyline or arc. They can't just do the whole mundane type of, oh, this is He-Man, say, against Skeletor. So they had to do a twist with Teela and everything. So I think it was great. I think it was portrayed really well. I am with you though, Peter. I felt the second season was a lot better than the first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just personally enjoyed the second one far more. Not far more. That's not fair. I enjoyed it more, and I don't know why. I just did. Luke,
Yeah, so to me, I can't really separate it by season. Like, for me, it is all one story, and it very much is, really. When you look at it, it all plays out, it all ties together. And if I was going to go back and rewatch it, it would be in its entirety rather than picking a season or a particular episode. I think all of it is brilliantly done. There's a lot of people out there, like you say, who don't like Kevin Smith for whatever reason. And those that were saying, oh, but he wasn't a fan of the franchise when he took it on, that's not how Hollywood works. Like, they don't want people that are fans of it, because then you only get their opinion or their thought process of it. I personally don't I know we've mentioned it a few times before. Kevin Feige taking over the MCU is great. He's given us some amazing stuff, but I don't just want his version of something. I want other directors and other people all to be involved and put their spin on it. So yeah, it doesn't bother me at all that he wasn't a fan as a child. Like, he gave us something amazing now, and in my opinion, he played homage to us. He gave us fan service, and he brought in something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Agree. And then we get this. This is the CGI Netflix show.
It's bad.
Very, very different to what you might expect from Masters. I friggin' loved this. I thought this was
Really?
tremendous. Yeah, I really enjoyed the storyline. I enjoyed the. This is very anime, Simon. I thought the transformation.
Anime. This is
it-
CGI.
I think the transformation from Adam to He-Man, I love that little sequence. I thought it was really cool.
Look at his little legs.
Yeah. I think it's a shame that this got binned after one season, because I thought this was a
Two
cool
seasons.
little season. 2 seasons, was it?
2 seasons.
Yeah, I thought this was a cool little season. I really enjoyed the series. I really enjoyed it. So, GP, Simon, you guys not seen this? No,
I've watched one episode and it was like, no, not for me.
not for you.
So,
Luke?
no.
This was brilliant. This was a little gem that snuck up. It had no intent. It had no right to be as good as it was. I loved all the changes that they made, including my beloved Battle Cat. You know, I loved everything about it. Yeah, I'm with you. I think these are very toyetic. This is actually my son's favorite one. So again, that says a lot about the demographic. And, you know, to me, this is the one that kids needed to attach themselves to in order for the franchise to continue. You know, all us adults that are watching, you know, the Kevin Smith one and everything else, that's fine. But kids need this, and the toys are amazing. Like, my son's got a load of these characters, and they really are great. They've got all like the translucent weapons, light up features. He even has the life size sword for like role play, with all the sounds and everything. And he loves it, and I love that he loves it. And we still watch this regularly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't give it a go because of the look of it, because of the art style. And
It
stuff
is
like that.
jarring at first.
It
It
is.
takes some getting used to, but I would say that's quite similar with a lot of things nowadays. I mean, even people who watch South Park, it's very jarring when you watch
Yeah.
cartoon and animations.
I think the best example of that you can give is was the Transformers season. It was like
Yeah.
maybe
well,
silent.
Beast Wars.
I remember my son watching that, and I was like, "What, you're watching Transformers?" No, it's not Transformers, son.
Yeah, it is quite.
Yeah.
Fuzzy saying the sword's taking the piss. Fuzzy, it looks odd, but I love it.
It works.
When it starts opening up and things and channeling the power, it's just, yeah,
It opens?
It works.
Yeah,
It opens.
like-
It opens. It opens it. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So yeah, loads and loads of different Masters of the Universe TV shows and seasons. Some of the best stuff, though, I think, was unintentional, really, and I love these. These are the money saving. Have you guys seen these adverts?
Yeah.
When they're doing what's the song again where he lifts him up?
The
Time
Dirty
of My Life
Dancing
from
one.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Just absolutely tremendous. And just seeing them back on screen was tremendous. You know, so I loved those. They were absolutely brilliant. I love this. Are you guys aware of Grumpy Skeletor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go and check out, if you're not aware of Grumpy Skeletor, go check out Grumpy Skeletor on X. It's just class. It's just it's basically someone being Skeletor basically and just randomly abusing Masters of the Universe characters and things like that, you know. Like, I like that one. I just got thrown out of home base because Beastman shot in the display toilet. It keeps me chuckling, I have to say. So I think it's a really, really cool. Why is it called Masters of the Universe, though? They never leave a turn yet.
Because it's the center of the universe
centre.
where magic originates from.
There you go, Pad Bear. Answered. So yeah, I'll check out Grumpy Skeletor. It is very, very cool. Simon.
Yes.
Simon, you're up, Simon.
So I've
Now,
took on Keegan's little.
We're just going to sit back.
Time to nut up or shut up.
Yeah. That sounded so wrong coming out of your mouth, Luke. Simon, it's your turn to shine. Go for it.
So just to say, I've never played any of these games, so there's not a lot I can really say about these. But they're before my time, really. Well,
Yeah.
not my time, but I never had these consoles. You might have had, Peter, so I'm going to go through them.
I did. I did.
I had a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
You had Pong, didn't you?
Did you have a ZX Spectrum?
I didn't. My cousins had the Spectrum. I had the
Okay.
Commodore 64.
Okay. So the first game that came out was Masters of the Universe: The Power of He-Man, and that was at 1983 on the Atari 2600. And so that sort of game was just your classic sort of typing game where you typed it and then you got like a response. So like
All right, like a text adventure.
Text adventure type game. You know, back then we didn't have much graphics, so most games were all text adventure games. So that was the first sort of type of game there. And then you got the Masters of the Universe Super Adventure 1986. And they were on the Commodore 64 and the ZX Spectrum. And that was your pixelated sort of side down one. On the next slide, I've got examples of the game, so I'll go through those.
Okay.
And then the next game we've got was the Masters of the Universe, the movie in 1987. So when the movie came out, obviously they had to bring games out for it. So that was on a lot more. That was on the Amstrad, Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum, Atari ST. Now I don't know what the Atari ST was compared to Atari, you know. So I never had any of these consoles.
Yeah.
So nothing really, you know, into me. And then the next game was at the same sort of time. Yeah, the Masters of the Universe, the arcade game. So that was the arcade game in an actual arcade cabinet. So so these are examples of what we had. So at the top you can see it's more a sort of select sort of typing game, and then things would happen. And then you have below that the movie one. So which is more moving about. But back then that was 1987. It was still very sort of top down, move across, pixelated sort of game.
Bit like Zelda, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit like Zelda. So as I said, I've never played these myself, but this is what we had. And so if you get onto the next slide, these are the more recent games. And what's interesting, so we got a Game Boy Advance game for He-Man, Power of Grayskull, which was quite interesting. And then we got a PlayStation 2 one, which was the more sort of better graphics sort of one, where you could actually ride on the Battle Cat and fight Skeletor on Panther, which was quite cool. I've never played it. I never got PlayStation 2, so I don't know. And then what's interesting is we are overdue a He-Man game. So the only things we've got, which I put there, is a sort of at games. Do you know what I mean? With He-Man added on. So you can get at games of He-Man, but there is been no new He-Man game for any new consoles anywhere. So with the new series coming out on Netflix, I think we are well overdue a really, really cool He-Man game. So.
Yeah, it surprises us that we've not had anything for such a long time. I have to be honest, even though I am a big He-Man fan, I've not played any of those games at all. The PlayStation 2 one looks really good, actually. I'm liking the look of that. But no, I don't remember any any of these, to be honest. Any of you guys played any?
Them last slide makes us want to go back and play Golden Axe.
Yeah, I loved Golden Axe.
Loved.
Altered Beast as well.
Yeah.
Any of you played any of these?
No? Yeah.
I didn't even know they existed.
No, I didn't, to be fair.
I mean, that PlayStation 2 one's got us really intrigued. I wonder if you can get an emulator or something to play.
Sure you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pad Bear, I had the Spectrum game. Think yourself lucky you never played it. Dodged a bullet, did we? Dodged a bullet. Oh, you know, Simon, that was tremendous. It was much more articulate and detailed than we used to from Keegan. So well done.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, it was probably. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, because you guys have done these spotlight shows a lot with us. Probably my favourite game section we've done on any of the shows, I think.
Absolutely,
to be honest.
So informative.
Luke, you the same?
Really nice slides.
Yeah, good stuff.
So
Good
it's
stuff.
better too because it's more than PlayStation.
Yeah, it's good. Well
Good
done,
Game
Simon.
Boy one
Well
there
done.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Right, quick interlude, ladies and gents. Just a very quick interlude. I just want to promote the charity night we've got happening on Friday at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock GMT. So this will be going live. Myself and Andy going to try and do some raffles and things and raise a bit of money for charity. Now, pardon me, as I said earlier, this started off as just me giving some money from the funds I raised on the channel, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Andy's been tremendous, so we've pulled together quite a bit of stuff. We've had some fantastic donations and things from the community. We've got the Just Giving page up and running, and there's loads of money going into that already, so thank you so much for that. Just wanted to mention a few things. That's the Just Giving code, so you can hover your phone over that and it'll take you straight to the Just Giving page. That percentage is well out now. I think we've got about £155 being donated, which is superb. We've got a whole host of good stuff to auction off on Friday night, including a Transformers 1 9.6. We've got a whole host of different price ranges on stuff. I'm keeping stuff starting bids as low as I can without being insulting to people who've donated and stuff like that. So there will be some low start prices, and then there'll be some bigger priced stuff as well. Also been in contact today with good old Alex Cormack, who is donating a sketch for us. So I'm not going to reveal what that is yet because he's going to send us some decent images, but it's a stunning piece. So we'll be auctioning that off as well. We've got tons of slabs, all kinds of great stuff. So please do make sure you jump in on Friday night to support that. Cool Collects, our friend Chris, is going to be doing a Whatnot show on Saturday night, and any profits he makes from that are going to go into the charity as well. So a huge thank you for that. Red Steads Comics over on Instagram is auctioning off a CGC book on behalf of the charity as well. So please check his page out on Instagram. It's one of the Disney Marvel covers. It's a really nice cover. So again, please check that out. So yeah, thank you to everybody that's supported so far. And we will be looking to have a good time on Friday night. Oh, that's it. Sorry, I've got a slide for it. Red Stairs Comics. So check that one out, and please go check out his auction. Okay, back on track to merchandise. Toys. Luke, you have it.
Yes.
I've added that. Sorry, Luke, just so you're aware.
Added that
GP's added that because he wants to talk about that particular figure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let him jump in now.
Yeah, I was just going to say this was one of my favourite figures as a kid. I used to sniff at that little bastard, but I was on end. Just sat in the corner like Gollum. You know, till my
Not
dad
the
took it off
Stinkor one, though.
Not the Stinker one.
Not the singing
Stinkor
all,
one.
just Moss Man.
Yeah.
So
Moss Man, sat in the corner.
Do you know what? Stinkor and Mossman are the only two that I never had, and I still
I
don't
want to know, right?
I still don't have the any original ones.
If anybody's got a Moss Man, do they still smell the same as when from all them years ago?
So, guys, oh God, James T. Keegan, welcome. Has just jumped on.
Hey-o.
Perfect timing, dead man. With ears burning. Why? What's happened? You've just missed Simon's game slides, James. They were spot on, mate. Spot on.
Amazing.
Don't go back and watch. You'd not like it. I just wanted to mention when you sent us this slide, JP. I think I told Luke this the other week. I had this figure and I loved it, and I had Stinkor and loved Stinkor as well. I just like the smell of them and all the rest of it was great. But I got a slime pit. Did you see the slime pit, the skull with the hand? And you used to put slime on its head and it poured out of its mouth. In the silly little shit that I was as a kid, put Moss Man in the slime pit. And of course the friggin' slime stuck to the furriness, and it was screwed after that. It was absolutely screwed.
Take better care of your Moss Man.
I do.
That's all I can
I need...
Not just for Christmas.
So yeah, cool figure. Okay, Luke, over to you, bud.
Right, so this is pretty much going to follow a similar suit to when you were talking about the animated shows, because effectively the toys came out at the same time as each of the shows. So beginning with, obviously, we had the vintage line, which is what everyone recognizes, everyone knows. Like GP already said earlier, there was a lot of bootlegs out there. You always recognized a genuine one. And even to this day, you know, there are companies out there that are still making bootleg characters to go along with these figures. You know, absolutely superb.
I want to have a look at Table.
This toy line ran from 1982 to 1988. So that's like what me and Simon were saying earlier, that we were on the tail end of that. We were getting the figures as they were going on clearance, I assume.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, we had the Princess of Power She-Ra line, which was basically for the girls. You know, it was them wanting to cash in on the idea of girls playing with their Barbies. Obviously, it's all being made by Mattel, so it's all one and the same. And this ran between 1985 and 1987. And it actually put a lot of boys off. You know, this was mentioned in several of these documentary shows that you mentioned earlier, Peter, where boys were upset that now their sisters were running around shouting, "I have the power," and I'm the superhero. So it really did have a knock-on effect with the boys giving up on He-Man as a toy line. Obviously, within this series, we also got Hordak and the Horde and everyone else, so all very important. Then we move on to the He-Man New Adventures, which is the space one that we mentioned earlier, which again, nobody really likes. That run between 1989 and 92. And then that took us to these. So these are probably the biggest wave of, well, not wave, multiple waves, biggest set of action figures ever created. You know, this was done by the Matty Collector, where you could literally send off for these figures on a monthly basis, and they would release one new figure each time. And they worked their way through the entire Filmation character library. We got every single character. Some of these are super expensive. I have a couple of them, but not many. And they do actually fit quite nicely with the current figures that we'll get to in just a second. So if you have any of these, they do scale and work really nicely. But they literally gave us every character you can think of, including the play sets of Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, which are huge, and they sell for over £1,000 for these castles, you know. So yeah, really great stuff. That takes us. Did we miss one? I think we missed one. It might be the 2000X, unless the slides further on. So then we've got the Origins line, which is basically a remake. So this is a current line that's still going, although there's a question around these action figures at the moment regarding the rights and everything else for this year. The Origins line has been huge. You know, people who loved He-Man before have been collecting these to fill in gaps of figures that they can't actually find elsewhere. Obviously, they have better articulation and joints and everything as well, and they're readily available and cheap. You know, you get all your accessories and everything else. So they're great filler pieces, or great for introducing new people. So this is actually the line of figures that my son collects, because I wanted to collect all the lines, but I had to, you know, pass one of them off to him so I could justify it to the missus. So he collects the Origin lines while I collect something else.
Very cool. Luke, I think I've missed a couple of your slides, so if you just give us a few minutes, I'll get them added. You talk about Battle Cat for a few minutes. This
Talk about
from
Battle Cat.
because I know you've
So this is the Mondo Battle Cat. Obviously, Peter is more in line with the 1/6 scale action figures, but yeah, I had to have this. Being a fan of Battle Cat and actually owning every single release of Battle Cat that they've ever done in toy form, I literally begged my wife to buy me this. So this was announced in a 2-week shopping window, and we were on holiday at the time. We could barely afford this holiday. It was literally just a cheap holiday in the UK, staying in a caravan somewhere. We've barely been able to afford any of it, and there's me begging my wife to buy me a 600 and something odd pound Battle Cat, let alone the import fees that would occur afterwards. Suffice to say, after 3 days of me begging and moaning, she finally caved in and said, "If I buy you this Battle Cat, can we just have a nice holiday?" So I was very happy. She placed the order for me, and I've never looked back. He's actually here in the background. You can probably see some of the multiple heads that I've got on stands. I am always envious of your 1/6 scale He-Man figures, Peter. Like, they look absolutely superb. They are so good.
They are very much a nice set, but I didn't go for the Panthro. Did you pick up the Panthro?
I can't. Like, that Battle Cat was it. I like, if I'm lucky later on, I'll be able to acquire a He-Man to go on Battle Cat, but I can't get the rest of them as much as I would love to. I mean, if I found them cheap enough, yeah, sure. But I don't see that happening. I think you've scooped up all the cheap bargains.
Yeah. No, they are very, very cool. They are very cool. I'm trying to upload that presentation, but it's not jumping through at the moment, Luke. So we might have to just come back to it. But
That's all right.
We'll have a look later on. Few of the other figures just to mention. You can get all kinds of different He-Man related gubbins and stuff. You can get, as ever, bloody pops. You can get some masks there now. You can get a penny if you want. Life-size sword. Yeah, I think the penny would be nice. Life-size sword. I haven't got a He-Man sword. I've got a Thundercat sword, but I ain't got that. I like the little woolen Orko there, and that He-Man cup is very, very cool. I had the bedspread, I'm sure, when I was a wee nipper. Any of you guys got any interesting He-Man related paraphernalia?
I haven't. But
So
I want some now.
mine's,
There is-
mine's all tied to the Battle Cat collection. So I've got things like stamps and like it's all random stuff. Like I don't actually own that pop figure, and I don't own the Dorbs one either. Mostly because to me they're a bit expensive. I'd rather spend that money on an actual action figure than a pop
Yeah.
figure. No offense to anyone that collects them, but I am looking to add them to collection when I can, if I find them at boot shops, like boot sales or charity shops. I do have a couple of the. It's not Lego. It's like Mega Blocks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I have a couple of those pieces, but I don't have the Hazak staff. I do have a friend who purchased 2 of them in order to make sure the staff was like longer, because you only get it. It's quite short with the
Yeah.
head and everything on there. He wanted to extend the actual staff part.
I
yeah.
quite like you can get miniature metal die-cast Havoc staffs and swords and things like that. I quite like them.
Like little letter openers.
letter
type
openers,
things.
yeah. They're
Tell you
quite
what,
cool.
I do remember seeing at Christmas when I was in B&M Bargains. It was one of them oversized pops.
Yeah,
He-Man.
I know.
That
noticed
looked
them as well.
amazing.
Yeah,
I was looking at it, I was thinking, oh, should I get that?
yeah.
Seen the big He-Man one, yeah, like that.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
it in B&M actually, it was that, yeah.
Yeah, B&M Bargains, yeah.
Yeah, not a bad price either. Not a bad price.
No,
I
it was quite
like the
cheap.
Look at them. Luke, managed to get your other slides up. Tell me about
Cool.
this one.
Yeah, so this is the 2000X line. So as we previously mentioned in regards to the cartoon, the aesthetics and the way these guys actually look is incredible. This was actually all sculpted by the Four Horsemen, which do a lot of the
Right.
sculpt for like Mondo and everything else. These are stunning figures. Like
Do
the
look cool,
articulation and stuff like that isn't always great. The action features and movement, but as far as the way they look, they are superb. Look at that Buzz Off, look at that Merman. The Trap Jaw was insane. The Trap Jaw was
Trapjaw looks
amazing.
phenomenal. isn't it?
And yeah, they're just so cool. And also it was the first time that we had a skinnier Prince Adam, compared to the big
Yeah.
He-Man. He actually
Yeah.
looked different, and it was in this toy line and in this show that they made that difference. Personal favorite of mine, he's not on screen, is the Stratos figure, where they actually gave him some proper big wings and everything
Yeah, I
else, and
remember
he just looks phenomenal. He's fantastic.
You looked very cool.
So, and then going to what we said about the CGI version, very toyetic, something that kids love. I did really, not spoiler alert, the way the Kevin Smith second season ends, they basically added some of the aesthetics of this character, of this version, to that. So that's a nice little homage. Even though this one's gone, this one's finished, it's nice that they brought that over and carried it on.
Sad that they finished it. Yeah, I'm sad.
I'm
that they
really
finished
sad
it.
because I thought the first and second season were superb. So this is the Masterverse line. So for me now, this is my definitive line. This is the line that I'm collecting. As I mentioned before, I have some of the classic figures. They scale perfectly with this. But this is a much cheaper alternative. If you don't want to go for the Origins line and go for what you would originally have with the vintage set, you can go for this, where it's kind of been upscaled. It's more in line with the modern cartoons that we are watching. And it looks like they're going through every character. So they have given us Revelations and Revolution figures, which when they first came out, that He-Man and Skeletor was a little bit junk. Like it wasn't right. There's something off with them. But as they've progressed, these have become perfect. And the new Eternia figures, they're the ones that you want to get. So I've actually stopped collecting all the others. I'm only buying new Eternia. But it's a weird one because this toy line has sub toy lines attached to it with these different names and brands and logos.
Luke, what's the blue He-Man in there? Because I can't remember that.
The blue He-Man is Faker.
Faker. Okay.
Faker.
Yeah.
That
This
was
is
his
tremendous.
original look from the Origin days. Whereas again in the Kevin Smith one, they modded him up and made him more, Prince Adam. It was more like Terminator, wasn't he? His skin melted away, and he was the robot underneath.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Luke. Just going to quickly jump to the chat before we move on. We've managed to upset James. Did Peter Different Peter calls Simon more articulate than me, and then James, that stings, man, and he's vanished. So he's off crying, and he's crying in his Lucky Charms. We've got Fuzzy, the Master of the Universe WWE figures looked fantastic. Shame they weren't given a chance over here. Yeah, they did look cool. And then we've got the weird Masters of the Universe crossover with the Turtles at the moment, haven't we? Some of those figures look a bit rough.
I love both franchises, and that's not the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I've got stacks of Masters of the Universe pops I can't bloody get rid of. Pop's not my thing, Fuzzy, I have to say. But yeah, they've done a whole host of them, haven't we? We've got Omar, nice of you to join. Thank you very much, bud. And we've got Efren. I'm surprised that aren't He-Man condoms.
They're the only ones I use.
You know, every now and then, Efren says something that I never thought he would ever say.
Yeah. I mean, there's a joke going around my head about having Skeletor condoms because then you could bone it. But I thought, no. James, jobless, and just went up for co-host of a horror channel. Trust me, they're not my thing either. Condoms? Oh, but anyway, yeah, I think he's talking about his pops. Okay, guys, so price. So I want to know what you think the most expensive He-Man figure is to sell. So there's a He-Man figure. It is carded
From the vintage line?
Yeah. Well, no, just in general, it is the most expensive one that's sold across all the lines. It's in a box. It's not graded, but because a lot of them are graded when I was looking at it.
So
I hadn't seen.
Oh, now you've thrown me one you haven't seen. Because this is the thing, like that classics line that Matty Collector did, that came out with some really like niche stuff.
Me and Sam's never going to get this, so
it's a 2-pack. Give you that.
Right.
And it's this one. It's Flying Fists He-Man and Terror Claws Skeletor.
Flying Fists.
Yeah, good old Flying Fists. Never seen it as a 2-pack, I have to say. Any idea how much it sold for? I mean, it's not massive amounts, to be honest.
$1,000.
Okay, it's higher than it is. Maybe I put the bar too low there, Simon. Yeah. 12 grand this went for.
You've got to be bonkers to fit.
Yeah, 12 grand. I was at a toy fair on Sunday and I had a few carded He-Man figures, graded carded figures, and they were all around about 800 to $1,000.
I'll give them a $5.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm an out-of-box collector just means...
yeah. You'd buy this for 12 grand and then rip it open and put them on display. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. It makes
let your kids play with it. Yeah. Jeez. 12 grand. I just wanted to mention this. Master of the Universe board game. Pardon me. I've picked this up recently. Can't remember if it's this one I've picked up or another one.
Was that the one with the miniatures, Pete?
Yeah, so you get a whole host of different miniatures to paint. I've still not done a video on it. I bought it friggin' 6 months ago and they're all sat there waiting to be unboxed.
Peter, you know that's the only Battle Cat I don't have in my collection. Can you send me over?
There's two versions, Luke. So the standard version.
That and the pop figures. I'm screwed.
The standard version is He-Man standing beside Battlecat. And then there was a limited version, which goes for about 80 quid, which is He-Man on Battlecat. But yeah, pretty cool. Andy's saying 12 grand's not too much. Well, in terms of toy prices, comic prices, it's not that bad. Connie, I ripped the head off my brother's He-Man toy because he cut my Bratz doll's hair. Wow, Connie. Grading box toys is worse than grading comics. Yeah. I'm going to tell him someone is selling theirs for 12 grand. Yeah, tell me you would have had all of that money, Connie, if you hadn't ripped the head off. So yeah. This game looks cool. I am gonna get it built. I'm gonna paint the miniatures and do a video on it, and then I'll hopefully have a game with it at some point. But it looks pretty cool.
Have you got the patience for painting?
Well, I used to do all the 5 years or so ago. I haven't done it for a while. Did all the Warhammer stuff. So yeah.
I had a good idea for a video, Pete. I'll talk about you later.
Yeah, sure.
For miniatures. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll talk later, yeah.
So yeah, looks interesting. Okie dokie. Then we'll move on to reading. So recommended reading. As we mentioned earlier on, He-Man started off in the little mini comics. Interesting little stories, but you can get pretty much all of the mini comics collected in the Masters of the Universe mini comic collection omnibus. It's bloody huge. It's a massive kind of tome of a book that reprints all of the mini comics, including the New Adventures, She-Ra, and right up to date, really. So I've recently picked that up. I haven't had a proper read through it yet, but it's an impressive looking volume. Any of you guys got that?
No, but I have got one of the omnibuses on my Amazon wish list. So
Yeah.
I keep looking at it. It's like 120 quid, and I'm like,
There's a couple of different omnibuses. There's the
I pick,
Got this one. It's
which
huge.
one's that?
Doesn't even fit on the shelf. So this is from the newspaper clippings.
Oh,
So, you
yeah.
know, like all the different little cartoons that we used to get in the newspapers. That's what this is, and they've all been reprinted in color and black and white and everything else. Really,
cool.
really nice book, but doesn't fit anywhere.
Yeah. And then Pete, you wanted to talk a little bit about the Ladybird books, which
yeah, I had
as soon as you
bunch of
sent
them
those
when I was a kid.
as soon as you sent those pictures, I remember having all of those books. Loved them.
Yeah, I just remember them always being around when I was a kid. Doesn't matter if you went to a friend's house, you'd see a little pile of them,
Yeah.
or in your own house, they were always there. And they were good little rates.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Simon, those little Ladybird books would be nice for you to maybe have a look at. Help you. Have you read any of them?
Marie.
Have you seen those before?
I do recognise Ladybird books. Yeah, I had some when I was a kid. Yeah.
They didn't just do He-Man. They did all kinds of different books.
Yeah, they did.
They did, yeah.
Libraries used to come around and used to be able to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good stuff. And then we've had a whole host of different comic book series. We've got the UK versions there. We've got his first appearance in good old DC Comics. And then we had a kind of a jump over to Marvel when they did the Masters movie. You guys read much of He-Man comic books?
I've read a fair few
I
in my
haven't, no.
time. Making sense of pence. Got
Yeah.
to get that thrown in there. That DC series though that they done was absolutely superb. On the follow up slide, sorry.
This one.
So so obviously they had the He-Man and Thundercats, which I thought was a superb crossover.
Yeah, it
I
was very
really
cool.
did enjoy that. But then that other one that you've got there, so I think that's the first appearance of She-Ra in the Hordak armor and everything. I can't remember what her character's name was when she was under that.
Despara or something?
Yeah. But that really did flesh out all these characters. Like, to me, that's why when I watch like the Kevin Smith show, that's how I can make the connections, because I've read these comics.
Yeah, yeah. And they're very cool series. I mean, that He-Man and Masters of the Universe is a really interesting book. You get a good omnibus of that. And the Injustice versus Masters of the Universe is a spot-on little tale as well. He-Man pulling Skeletor's heart out of his chest is a very cool
Very cool.
scene.
I'd say that's the omnibus.
Yeah, that's the one I've got. I've got that one.
Yeah.
So that omnibus covers literally all of the master. Well, everything I've got on screen here covers all
Right.
of those series. You get the He-Man Thundercats, you get the Injustice, and you get the full Masters run. It's
I might
really
have to
cool.
clan at that one.
Some very, very cool stories, some very cool books. My good personal friend Simon Krinsky did the artwork on a Master of the Universe comic run. Very cool, Fuzzy. Very cool.
I hope he didn't write it.
Well, I have to say the recent runs on He-Man haven't been the best. So some of the recent comic lines haven't blown me away, unfortunately. Okay, guys. End of the show. What we tend to do, we've added What If to this. Instead of asking you to come up with an idea for a He-Man movie, I've asked you to design your own Master of the Universe, hero or villain. And Simon sent us a little image that I wasn't aware of. So when we're looking at this, he sent us this, that you could vote to create your own He-Man character. I've never bloody seen this. I think
You
I'm
mean we can
pleased.
send these off now that we've done them?
We can send these off, yeah. I'm glad I've never seen this, because shit the bed, these are awful. Simon, you think you know which one won?
Yeah, I think I know which one won.
Which one?
That net one, the Neto one.
The second one, the net
Net.
thing with a ginger
Yeah.
wig.
Yeah, I think that one won.
It looks like you, Peter.
Fuck you.
Oh,
You said the other day that you love fishnet stockings,
I did.
and it's ginger.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
is this your entry page?
No, I mean, yeah, wow. But they didn't make this figure, did they? They didn't, surely not.
I don't think they made the figure, but I think it was in an episode or a comic or some type of thing it got put into.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's get with pictures. Luke, we'll start with you.
Oh, okay. So, when you first said about this, I was like, oh my god, how am I going to come up with something? Because, like I've already said to you before with that classics line, there is a whole range of characters that most people have never heard of, but they covered them all. I mean, there's even like an action figure of Castle Grayskull as a man.
Yeah, Castle Grayskull man.
There's some weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
So, I was struggling at first, I have to admit, but I've come up with something that I'm actually quite proud of. Like, really proud of. So, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt me if you guys don't like it.
Okay.
So please be gentle.
Right.
So, just to start off, I haven't got a name for the character, so the name is unknown at present. But maybe someone could let me know in the comments what name they would give the character. So it's a female green tiger who mothered 2 twin cubs. The firstborn, despite having a gene defect that turned his fur totally purple, was large, strong, and fierce, while the other, though the spitting image of his mother in appearance, was vulnerable and weak. One night, after hunting a nearby herd, the trio were attacked and separated, and despite their search, the runt, aka Cringer, as he would later be known, was never found. The 2 remaining felines never once gave up their search for their missing family member. However, as the years passed and went by, they began to suffer the harsh environment that was the Eternian wilderness. Eventually, they found refuge within the base of an ancient mountain, a mountain shaped like that of a serpent, before eventually becoming part of a new army led by a being named Skeletor. The mother tiger, though now elderly and weak, still lives on at Snake Mountain to this day, wandering the halls daily in the hope that her eldest son, now known as Panther, will one day bring news that their youngest has been found.
Oh, look, he's very good, Luke.
Oh,
Very
he wrote a
good.
fucking
He's
script.
emotional. He's emotional. He's finally exercised that paternal instinct towards Cringer.
I love the idea that making Panther and Cringer brothers, but not knowing that they're related because obviously he's always inbound with the power of Grayskull, so they never see him as just being Cringer.
Yeah.
And you know, I always wondered in the past as well, like, okay, you got green tigers, but where did Panther come from, and why is he strong enough that he could even fight Battle Cat? You know, what is he?
Uh-huh.
So I just had this idea that they were related and twins.
Very cool. Now,
I was going to suck after this.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody else has put as much thought or effort into their pictures. Simon doesn't even know what day it is. Simon doesn't know what's happening here. Look at him. He's just sitting thinking, fuck, what have I let myself in for? But yeah. No, very, very cool. Very cool. Now,
cool.
people are saying in the chat, where's the picture? To be fair, I didn't ask for a picture. We just asked for a pitch. GP's done a little picture, and I've quickly knocked a picture up as well. We'll go, just because I want to put him out of his misery, we're going to go to Simon next. Simon, follow on from that.
I got ChatGPT to help me out. So this is my character. And
It's not your character.
It's not.
It's not.
I
It's
asked-
ChatGPT's character.
No, because I put the prompt. I asked it, do this, do it, and it created a character.
ChatGPT, do me a He-Man. That's what you said, wasn't it?
No, it went more detail in that. Anyway, so
I did.
it come up with Cyber Mist is the character's name. Hails from a hidden valley in Eternia, where ancient technology and magic converge. Once a brilliant scientist and sorcerer, he sought to blend the realms of science and magic to enhance Eternia's defense against the ever-present threat of the evil forces. However, during a forbidden experiment, he began to fuse his mystical tech armor, transforming it into both magic and machine. So,
Very good. Well done, ChatGPT, or whatever it is. Yeah, you did a good job there.
I
Yeah.
have to come up with a story for mine now.
Yeah. Oh, you've not got a story?
Shit. Shit.
Okay,
I
so
struggled on a day.
GP, what the shit's this?
That's Woody Harrelson. He lives in the woods. And he protects the woods. from
Is that your
Skeletor.
character, Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson.
Okay. Does he have a backstory?
No.
He doesn't have
He
a
protects the
backstory.
woods.
He protects the woods. Good man. So, Luke, I think you've put a little bit more effort in than perhaps the gents.
Do you know what?
Um,
Not. I didn't put that much effort, but it just came to me, and I love the idea, and I'm really proud of it. And I
can
don't
see.
care what anyone says.
I think it's a great
happy.
idea. I think it's a great.
He's had
idea.
that road for the last
Yeah.
20 years.
My character, I haven't thought it through particularly, but my character, you know how we've got Faker. We talked about him earlier. This is another experiment from Skeletor. And I'm going to come to Luke in a bit to tell us if we've ever had a character based on this, 'cause I don't think we have. Anyway, Skeletor's gone to try and create another version of He-Man. He's failed at the technology side of things with Faker, so instead he's gone for the magic side of things. And whilst he's concocting all of his his plans and stuff in his big cauldron, because he's a kind of a wizard thing, he accidentally knocks it, and Beastman knocks it over into the flames, and it creates G-Man, who's basically who's basically a fire-based bad guy. Look at his eyes. A
Self-portrait.
fire-based
He-Man.
fire-based
Look at
master
those
of the
thighs.
universe, who's supposed to be the rival to He-Man. Because I don't think we've had a fire-based one, have we? Apart from Sunman, I think.
It
Was
looks a
it?
bit like you, Peter. Did you?
It's meant to be me. It's my.
It's a self-portrait, Simon. I've just
It's a
established that.
self-portrait. Yeah, he's got a little head on fire. Look, got his little chubby cheeks.
Big Alf.
I
on the
reckon
thighs.
he could ride your cat, Luke. I don't know, he could ride your cat.
I'm just worried the term of riding you're talking about.
Yeah. Okie dokie, guys. Okie dokie. I think the chat think we've hit an all new low. Could Luke say his again? I wasn't listening. I feel I might have missed it. It was the best of the four,
It
mate.
was
It was the best of the four. You'll have to go back and rewatch. That's a what's it with pants on. It is. It is. Why is there a character called G-Spot? Oh dear me! Right, guys, listen. I think we've come naturally to the end of the show. Thank you so much, guys. That was really interesting. Good little chat about Masters of the Universe, one of my favourite franchises. Just to mention a few things coming up on my channel. There's all those different videos and shit, so go and check those out. We've got live tomorrow night. I think it's premiering at 8 o'clock. I Can View This All Day, where myself and James T. Keegan are talking about this travesty of a movie. So please go watch that. Wednesday
What
night,
movie?
myself and James are joining a whole host of YouTubers to take part in Masters of the Multiverse, which is a quiz show. It's not just about He-Man. Well, it's not about He-Man. It's a general nerdy quiz, so that should be fun. Killer Comic Show, thank fuck it's Wednesday, so check that out at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. And then we've got the Killer Comic Show over on Thursday night as well. Friday night, we've got... Saturday Night Live, wrong slide. Friday night, we've got an American Wealth in London review over on One Good Scare Show, so please do check that out as well. And don't forget Charity Night on Friday at 9 p.m. Luke, what we've got coming up on Hydra Collectibles?
So I was meant to actually record a video today. I didn't. It's the first day of the kids being back at school, and I just needed a rest. So
Put your feet up.
I'm hoping that I'll be able to make the video either tomorrow or possibly Wednesday. And as I mentioned on Saturday, it's my first paid promotional video. So I'm going to keep it still close to my chest at the moment. But once it's released, I really hope that everyone enjoys it and everyone watches it, because it'd be a shame for it not to get any views.
Good stuff. Looking forward to that one. GP, how about yourself?
I made 2 thumbnails yesterday, so something's happening.
Good.
No, I've got to unbox boxes there for you. So that's one of the videos I'm going to probably do this weekend. And just a quick overview of Nita Horse Nightmare Blogs.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we can sort something out to do a live show for that one as well.
Good stuff.
I was going to do a quick overview for that one.
Excellent. Look forward to those. Simon, have you got anything coming up on YouTube, or are you going to be doing any more Whatnot sales?
Yeah, it's just planning what date really, because obviously I'm starting a new job, which is good. So I'm just busy with that at the moment. So
Good stuff. Good stuff, mate. Okie dokie. Listen, thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat. I'll auction that on Friday night if anybody's interested.
should.
I'll auction that. We'll start at what, 100 quid? Yeah, we'll auction that. I'm sure people will buy it. Congrats on the new job. Good stuff. Okay, listen, thank you very much, everybody. Really do appreciate everybody that's been in the chat watching tonight. Always appreciate you all spending your night with me. And GP, Simon, Luke, always a pleasure spending time with you guys. So thank you so much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And with that, we'll call it a night. So catch you later, everybody. Bye.
Bye.